You are 30 feet above the ground, and there is nowhere to go. The platform beneath you is made of bark and branches lashed with rattan vine. It flexes when you shift your weight, and you can see the jungle floor through the gaps. You have been here for 6 days. You stopped counting hours on day 2 because counting made it worse. The men who brought you here check on you twice a day and say nothing you can understand. They are not cruel. They simply look at you the way you might look at an animal you have not yet decided what to do with. 11 adults and 4 children. The ones who won't meet your eyes worry you more. The jungle below is so dense it blocks direct sunlight. You live in permanent green twilight that smells like rot and wet bark. You were a photographer on assignment. You were following a trail, and then you were not alone anymore. And then you were here. 6 days ago, you had a satellite phone, a camera, 2 weeks of supplies. You have none of those things now. The first night was the worst, because you still believed it was temporary. You sat against the bark wall and told yourself they would let you go by morning. The structure is a living space, built 40 feet up in a banyan tree, accessed by a notched log steep enough to need both hands. At night, they pull the log up. No way down. You did not sleep. You listened to the jungle. Insects, something large moving below, rain on the bark roof, voices from the adjacent platform. In the morning, a woman brought something in a bark bowl. Gray, sticky, sour-smelling. You did not eat it. By end of day 2, you ate it. Sago, processed palm starch, the dietary staple here, the thing keeping these people alive. It tasted like wet paper. You ate everything and held out the bowl hoping for more. She took it without expression and left. That exchange, wordless, without warmth, completely transactional, is the tone of everything since. You exist here as a problem that has not yet been resolved. Your body is inventory now. You check it every morning like camera equipment. Left ankle, swollen, better, but not healed. Both forearms covered in bites, some infected, red rings spreading. They itch with intensity that wakes you at night. You have scratched some open, and they weep clear fluid, nothing to clean them with. There is a creek below you have drunk from twice when they brought you down, cupped your hands fast, and so far, you are alive. Your clothes are destroyed. The shirt mostly gone, tore strips for the bites. Pants filthy enough to have changed color. You smell yourself constantly and have stopped being disgusted because disgust requires energy you do not have. This is one of the specific ways captivity changes you. Not dramatically, just quietly. A threshold crossed and left behind. The person who would have been disgusted is gone. Something more functional replaced him. You do not mourn that person. You cannot afford to. They brought you a grub on day 4. White, thumb-sized, larva of the sago beetle, primary protein source in Papua. The man who brought it was one of the younger adults who has shown more curiosity about you than the others. He held it out on bark. He was watching your face. You understood this was a test. Not cruel, just assessment. You took it. You put it in your mouth whole, the way you had seen them eat them. It burst. Soft outside, liquid inside, slightly warm from being alive 30 seconds ago. The taste is neutral, almost fatty, not unpleasant if you do not think about what it is. You chewed twice and swallowed. The man made a sound that might have been approval. You have eaten 6 more since then. Your body is consuming itself. You can feel the muscle loss in your legs. The grubs help. You eat every one they offer, and you feel no disgust anymore, only the arithmetic of survival. Protein exists here in this form, or it does not exist at all. The rules are invisible, and you break them constantly, without knowing. On day 5, you touched a long pole leaning against the central post, and the reaction was immediate. An older man crossed the platform and knocked it from your hand with force. You raised both hands, palms out. He stared, then walked away. You sat still for an hour. Mental list of forbidden things. That pole, a woven basket in the rafters, an area near the eastern post, direct eye contact with older women. You do not know why. You only know the consequences of learning them. You move carefully now, slowly, watching reactions before repeating anything. Expert in body language you cannot decode. A slight shift in posture, a change in the angle of a head. The edge between a moment that passes and a moment that escalates is invisible, and you stand on it constantly. You will never fully know which side you are on until it is already decided. The fever came on day 8. You woke unable to identify where you were, genuine confusion, and then the shaking started. Malaria is the obvious explanation. Your prophylactics ran out with your pack. The fever peaked somewhere above what felt survivable, then broke in sweat that soaked the bark floor. During the peak, you hallucinated your apartment, your mother's voice. You woke to find the older woman who usually ignores you sitting nearby. She had a wet leaf pressed to your forehead. She stayed until the fever broke. When the shaking stopped, she removed the leaf and left. You do not know if this means anything. Did she do it because you matter? Or because a sick person on a small platform is a practical problem for everyone? Both can be true. You have stopped needing things to mean what you want them to mean. Survival requires honesty about what is actually happening versus what you hope is happening. Those are different things. Confusing them is expensive. His name sounds like Io, 2 syllables, the second rising. Approximately 12. He has decided you are interesting. He brings things. A beetle, bark with unusual pattern. Once, a small frog held out with obvious pride. Through him, you have learned 30 sounds. Water, eat, sleep, stop, fire. Not language, signaling, but the difference between total isolation and something else. Io showed you how to eat sago with 2 fingers, so it goes down easier. He laughed when you got it wrong. First human sound in 8 days that felt like it was for you rather than about you. You have thought carefully about what Io represents. Not protection. A 12-year-old who finds you curious the way a child finds any strange thing curious. But curiosity is the opposite of the decision that ends this. You stay close to Io. You receive everything he brings as if it is the most important thing you have been given. In the specific context of your life right now, it is. On day 11, they had a meeting about you. You could not understand the words, but you understood the structure. Older men speaking, others listening, specific weight in the air. You sat at the platform edge, completely still. 40 minutes. You watched faces. 2 men you categorized as most hostile did most of the talking. The leader said very little. At the end, something short, and the meeting was over. Nobody looked at you. That night, Io did not come. In the morning, the 2 hostile men were gone. You ate your sago and waited. You have become very good at waiting, existing in sustained uncertainty without it consuming you. You broke down twice in the first week. Uncontrollable crying you could not stop, not since day 7. You are not stronger, you are emptier. There is less left to break, and what remains has learned to be very still. Stillness is the primary skill here, more important than anything you learned before. You understand now why you are still alive. It took 11 days to see it clearly. You are not alive because they are merciful. You are alive because you are unknown. In their worldview, an outsider can be 2 things, a person or a kakua, a witch in human form that must be killed to release the spirit inside. The distinction is not made by appearance. It is made by behavior, by time, by whatever process governs their reading of a stranger. You have been watched for 11 days. You have eaten what they gave you. You have not threatened anyone. You have let Io bring you beetles and received them as gifts. You do not know if this is enough. You do not know what the meeting decided. What you know is that you are still on this platform on day 12, and the notched log is still there each morning. That is the only metric that matters. Not whether they like you, not whether they understand you, whether the log is there when you wake up. Everything else is noise. Day 14. You have stopped waiting to be rescued. Your satellite phone is gone. Nobody knew your exact route. The magazine reported you missing after your deadline on day 8. Someone may search. The jungle is vast, and you are 40 feet up inside it. You think about this practically now, rather than desperately. Io taught you the word for rain today. You said it back. He corrected the tone. You said it again. He nodded. You have 40 words now. Not enough to explain who you are, enough to ask for water. The infected bites are worse. 3 with something hard and warm beneath the skin. You press them each morning. You eat your grubs. The older man who decides things sits across the platform and looks at the jungle, and his face gives you nothing. The jungle below is the same as day 1. You are not. Something that eats grubs without thinking. Something that watches a 12-year-old boy like he is the most important person alive. You are still here. That is still something.